It's a beautiful day in the cultural and culinary crossroads of America, and we're talking climate change today, covering a lot of ground. We have a couple wonderful guests today, and we're also going to talk about Jeb Bush, who I'd love to get on the show, but I don't think it's going to happen. He's being touted as a possible Republican who gets climate change. We're going to talk about that and more today on the Fallon Forum.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Ed Fallon here, folks. Gateway Market and Cafe is your locally owned source for specialty groceries. Enjoy chef-crafted, prepared foods, artisan baked goods, organic produce, specialty cheeses, and hand-selected wines and craft beer. Visit the lively cafe for breakfast, lunch, or dinner 7 days a week. Gateway Market is centrally located on the corner of Martin Luther King Jr. Parkway and Woodland Ave. Stop by or visit www.gatewaymarket.com for more details. That's Gateway Market, folks. Good food, great community.
I'm a burrito.
I'm a fighting burrito, full of fresh ingredients prepared before your very eyes.
I don't have eyes.
I have over 28 options and 268 million combinations, including Rizzo for vegetarians.
I can take my meat off and call myself vegetarian.
Put that back on. The Fighting Burrito is locally owned.
I'm owned by some big corporation somewhere. Say, you want to go on a date?
No thanks. I'm seeing a quesadilla.
The Fighting Burrito online, fightingburrito.com. Join the fight.
This is Dr. Holding, the Story County Veterinary Clinic. For 15 years, we have been spaying and neutering feral cat groups at affordable prices. Wild cats destroy game birds and songbirds. A single female cat can produce over 4,000 kittens in 7 years. The shelters are full, so unwanted kittens will be put to sleep. Your cats will stay home and stay healthy. Call us for all your dog and cat needs at the Story County Veterinary Clinic between Ames and Nevada on Highway 30, 1 mile east of Interstate 35, 515-232-8766.
Local farms, global flavor. That's the secret to Hawk's growing popularity. The best meals begin with the best ingredients, and 90% of Hawk's ingredients come from local farms. In addition to seasonal fruits and vegetables, Hawk features grass-fed beef and lamb, and pasture-raised chicken and duck, all raised without hormones, steroids, or cages. The coffee is fair trade, locally roasted, and Hawk's House liquors come from right here in Iowa. Hawk's owners go the extra mile, composting organic waste and recycling. For more information or to make reservations, visit hawktable.com. That's HOQ table.com.
With warm weather finally here, it's time to think about upgrading the efficiency of your furnace and air conditioner. Leonard Tinker Heating and Cooling has provided honest, competent service for over 20 years. Whether it's your home or business, for repair work or to install a more energy-efficient furnace or air conditioner, call Leonard Tinker at 263-0422. That's 263-0422. For honest, competent heating and cooling service, call Leonard Tinker at 263-0422.
The 8th Annual Natural Living Expo is May 18th and 19th at the 4-H building at the Iowa State Fairgrounds. The Natural Living Expo is the place to learn about sustainable practices and healthy lifestyle choices. The expo offers classes and vendors where you'll learn about green building design, sustainable agriculture, urban farming, non-toxic cleaning products, massage, and more. There's no cost to attend, and what you'll come away with is priceless. For more information, visit www.naturallivingexpo.org. That's www.naturallivingexpo.org.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Welcome, folks. Welcome to the Fallon Forum, where technology is always an adventure, especially when it's in my hands. Hey, Maddie, since I'm not technically advanced enough to send you an email, if you go to I Matter Youth, I as in the first letter of the word Iowa, imatteryouth.org, click on Voices, and click on Glory, Iowa. You will find a video involving Dave Petty with the Iowa DNR. And we're going to try to play that if you're better at this tech stuff than I am, which would mean pretty much anyone is, because if you have a house plant like sitting in your living room, that house plant is more technically advanced than I am. Maybe you have a cat that likes to whine at night. Maybe she even barfs on the floor once in a while. That cat, though annoying she may be, is less annoying than I am when it comes to matters technical. So there's Maddie firing away, giving me the thumbs up, smiling uncomfortably, nervously. She'd really rather just be out on the bicycle, I'm sure. But hey, we're going to talk about climate change today. I do want to thank the Iowa chapter of the Sierra Club and Iowa Physicians for Social Responsibility for sponsoring the Fallon Forum. I'd also like to thank the my favorite grocery store, Iowa's own Gateway Market and Cafe at 20th and Woodland. All right, so I do want to talk about Jeb Bush. I've never talked about Jeb Bush on this show before. I'm not trying to avoid the guy, but he came up recently in a Politico column, an article, suggesting that he might be the savior we're looking for when it comes to climate change. I'm still scratching my noggin over this one, but I want to share that with you as we move on, and we'll get your take on it as well. All right, I'm delighted to have Maria Filippone and her daughter Glory Day Filippone in the studio with me. I've known them a while, but had a chance to hear Glory speak at the climate rally at the state capitol last week. This is a rally organized by State Senator Rob Hogue, who is not just one of Iowa's leaders when it comes to political chutzpah on the issue of climate change, but nationally as well. He's been doing an incredible job. Actually, as we speak, Rob is announcing a book that he has written. It's available at the state capitol right now in room 116. So when you're done listening to this fantastic segment of the show, maybe you can still head up there. They'll be up there selling and signing, or actually giving away and signing books until about 1 o'clock. All right, hey, so welcome very much to the program. Thanks for skipping school. Maybe you did. I don't know. I'm just assuming. Okay, great. Well, you know, there are some things that are more important than school, like a planet, for example. I mean, gosh, I cannot believe the lethargy we are seeing among our political leadership on this issue. And there's so much to talk about, but let me start with the question about your lawsuit. You have actually participating in a lawsuit against the government for failing to protect us, to protect our air quality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically, the atmosphere should be a part of the public trust, which is an ancient legal doctrine saying that the government has the duty to protect
Yep. There you go.
all shared resources, and the atmosphere is a shared resource, so they have to protect it.
So what's the status of the lawsuit right now?
Well, there's lots of lawsuits in lots of states that I Matter Youth across the U.S. are filing, as well as a federal lawsuit that all the youth on the Youth Council are a part of, including Glory Day. In Iowa, our lawsuit was denied. We sent it to the Court of Appeals. The Court of Appeals denied our appeal. However, one of the judges, Judge Doyle, wrote that this is a matter that should be taken up in front of the Supreme Court, perhaps. The thought of the atmosphere being part of a public trust.
Well, I mean, why is it not? I mean, we have class action lawsuits filed all the time. We had one of the most prominent ones was the class action lawsuit against the tobacco companies for polluting the air, essentially, for killing people. But I mean, it was an issue of air that people breathe individually, and if you're a secondhand smoker, by no choice of your own, you know, it was your air quality as well. I mean, and we won that lawsuit, and the tobacco companies have had to fork over a bunch of money. This seems to me in the same category, only a much bigger issue.
It is. It is. The public trust doctrine goes back to ancient Roman times, where the philosophy behind a public trust doctrine is that the resources that a country shares, in this case a planet, because we're all connected, like water, air, should be part of a public trust. Therefore, the governments have an obligation to protect them. Water is already in the public trust doctrine. We're trying to get the atmosphere ruled.
Okay, so
as part of the public trust.
Yeah, and so was this? Are you part of a larger group of young people, Glory, that are involved with this lawsuit?
Yes, we have youth all across the world participating in I Matter.
Okay, and how many different countries?
Ooh, I want to say 40.
Yeah.
I don't. You can go to the website imatteryouth.org and see all that we're doing. So we've actually taken. We're asking the state Supreme Court to hear our case. And the funny thing is, Mr. Fallon, the Iowa Department of Natural Resources sent resistance to the court to have them hear our case.
The Iowa Department of Natural Resources is opposed to
too.
The lawsuit involving the protection of
The
one of the
atmosphere.
elements they're supposed to be keeping clean for us.
Exactly.
Okay.
That was filed about 2 weeks ago by them.
And really, so this is fairly recent development. And is there argument that, I mean, I'm scratching my head again. I do that a lot, folks. I scratch my head. I'm trying to figure out why they would come up with an objection to an effort to protect the air quality. I mean, we have this all the time with the EPA. I mean, God, the EPA is threatening to sue Iowa over water quality and has over air quality.
Here's their motion.
Okay, that's their motion.
That's their motion. You're welcome to check it out.
Or we can check out this video.
Yeah.
This is an interview with, this is your interview with Dave Petty, or your conversation with him?
In June 2011, she with permission, gave a presentation to the DNR, the EPC, Environmental Protection Commission of the DNR, asking them to lower CO2 emissions by 6% per year, which is what all scientists agree is needed to stop climate change.
So this was Gloria, this was an official meeting of the Environmental Protection Commission. There was time for public comment. And
she was granted 20 minutes to give a presentation and talk. So she was,
Okay. And this is the DNR's response to your presentation.
They were voting on whether or not to grant her request.
Maddie, technical wizard that you are, let us run that clip.
even though it doesn't look like that all the time. When I was really little, we would drive by the factories, and there'd always be smoke and exhaust coming out of the chimneys. I always thought that they were cloud machines, but then when my parents explained to me, no, that's bad for the earth, then I started seeing more things that were bad for the earth. My younger sisters also had me start thinking about the future and the future generations and how our choices affect them in the long run.
Grandmother Frances, said Mr. and Mrs. Frankenstein, she's always full of surprises.
Two of the choices I've made are I became a vegetarian and I try to eat as locally as possible. This cuts down on my carbon footprint because the local food doesn't have to be shipped as far, and it's fresher, and you're supporting local farmers. Eating locally helps the farmers because they're giving them business and they don't have to pay for shipping and packaging just so they can send their produce somewhere else. From working at the farmers market, I've really gotten to know a lot of the local farmers because I've been working there since I was 8. My favorite memory of working at the farmer's market is when this blind lady walked up and she picked up an apple and she said, "Is this an apple?" And I said, "Yes, it is." She said, "Is it red?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "Well, it feels very beautiful. I'll take a bushel." And then she kept going up and down the produce stand doing that with different fruits and vegetables. It really touched me how she didn't need to see something to believe it was there. It's a lot like climate change, actually. We can't just deny all the evidence that climate change is there just because we can't see it. One of the impacts of climate change that we can see is extreme weather patterns, like we'll go from a drought to flooding. We are having those huge floods in Iowa. Buildings were putting up sandbags and the streets were all always wet. Floods do really affect what food is available because it can either ruin a crop or cause a farmer to not be able to get to market. Another choice I've made is to never give up. and I learned that through acting. With acting, it's really hard because you're not always going to get a part the first time you try. I probably auditioned 10 or 11 times, but then finally I got in.
Even if she does pass, I don't think she can handle the grind of studying to be a teacher. Anyway, Gilbert would have been...
So I've tried using that in all aspects of my life, whether it's trying to get extra credit on an assignment or trying to stop climate change, because if you keep trying over and over again, someone will listen to you. I'm really glad I learned to never give up at a young age, because now it's helping me help stop climate change. The DNR stands for Department of Natural Resources, and they're basically in charge of trying to make sure that everywhere in Iowa that we're being good and environmentally friendly. I first petitioned the DNR to lower CO2 emissions by 6% per year, which is a number that scientists agree is needed to help stop climate change.
One of you to be courageous and to think of your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, the future generations yet to come, and think what kind of earth, what kind of place you want to leave for them to call home.
I felt really bad when they denied the petition, and then they denied the appeal after that, because that was them basically saying that my generation and the generation after that and so on does not have the right to a livable future. I would ask the judges to think about their children or their children's children and think about how this decision is going to affect them. We've all been so focused on what can I do, but now I think we need to open it up to what can the community do, what can we all do, what can the government do. We all share the same sky. Everything that we do doesn't only affect us, but it affects everyone else. And if we don't stop to think about what we're doing to not only ourselves but to everyone else, then we're just as bad as the cloud factories. I love performing. I love playing music with my friends. I love my sisters and my family very much. My name is Gloria Day. I am 13 years old and I am many things.
Well, you are many things, Gloria Day, including a plaintiff in a lawsuit.
Yes.
It took me almost 50 years to get there, so congratulations. And actually, the lawsuit you're involved with is probably a lot more important than either of the ones that I was involved with. I'd say it's commendable that you are willing to speak out and willing to take these acts, and great to have a mom who is also fighting with you on this. And again, it's nice to be a part of something that's global too, where you've got youth around the world who are similarly involved. So I want to get we got to go to a short break, but when we come back, I do want to ask a little bit more detail about the encounter with the DNR and also about the suit itself, and then get your take on some of the other things happening both locally and around the world as momentum builds to try to wrestle with this climate boogeyman and get it under control. So if you can stick around, if I can allow you to play hooky for a little bit longer, we'll have that conversation when we come back. Folks, I want to thank you for tuning into the Fallon Forum. We're going to be back in a few minutes. In the meantime, if you'd like to pose a question, if you have a comment to make, if you've got some perspective you'd like to share as we discuss this issue with our guests, you're welcome to call 244-0077. Locally, that's just 515-244-0077, or the toll-free number is 855-244-0077, and you can always email me at fallonforum@gmail.com. I do want to thank Gateway Market and Cafe for sponsoring this segment of our program. I was delighted to see some footage of the farmers market in the video about you, Glory, because we've got a great local foods industry here, and I use the word industry in the broadest sense. We've got a lot of local farmers, more and more all the time, and we've got a handful of local grocery stores. And we also got these big chain grocery stores that want to come in and push these local guys out. So I recommend highly keeping your money here in the local community. Gateway Market is not just a great grocery store that gets a lot of its food from local farms, but also a wonderful cafe for breakfast, lunch, and supper. Folks, we'll be back in a few minutes here on the Fallon Forum.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
The dawn of a new era begins.
Well, good morning. This is the 7th of June in the Lord's year 2010, and this is day one of webcast1live.com. We will begin with Max World Live with my special guest, Tom Coates. In just a minute, there's Tom. Wait. Howdy. And we will be live for the very first time on Webcast One Live. Someday we're going to look back on this and say, gosh, remember that old day in history? Wonder where Walter Cronkite was. He must have been around hanging there too. But actually, it's the beginning of Webcast One Live. And thank you for listening. Thanks, Rob Spearman, and everybody who's put together this project together. And we're ready to go live now. So thanks for listening to MaxWorldLive.com.
I can't tell you that it's going real well from time to time, but it is going, man.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Welcome back to the Fallon Forum. That's Mr. Baber's Neighbors and their tune Ode to Jones. I want to thank Brother Trucker for providing the first tune to kick off our program. That tune is Downtown. I want to thank Community CPA and Associates for sponsoring this segment of our show. And before I go back to our conversation with our guests, I want to share some of the email we've received, or email and Facebook. It's all the same anymore, isn't it? Electronic responses we've received. And again, the number to call, 244-0077. See, we got a call coming in. And so in response to me indicating that we've got a 14-year-old in our studio today who is suing the government for not protecting the atmosphere. Sarah writes, that is cooler than S, because this is a family-friendly show and I can't say that. So anyway, you are cooler than S.
Thank you.
Zachary writes, cooler than a polar bear's toenails. All right, so I got some funny friends. Gloria, this is not you, this is a different Gloria, okay, writes, totally we should all be so wise. John writes, a waste of energy. Let us know how that works out. And I will ask about that. Is suing the government a waste of energy? I mean, you've already had a pretty strong rejection at the local level. What kind of action are we getting from, courts around the world where other similar lawsuits are being filed? Are we getting any kind of favorable response?
Well, a judge in Texas said that to the I Matter youth in Texas who has a similar lawsuit, said that it should be sent to the state court for consideration that the atmosphere could be part of the public trust. So we are getting traction. In
Texas, no less.
In Texas,
Okay.
yes. Also, if you look back historically, all great movements need litigation.
Oh, yeah.
You need it from all aspects of our system.
All great movements
Right.
have protests, they have educational components, they have political action, they have litigation, and they often have a march as well, which I want to get your take on as we move forward. You're aware of the march, okay?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's good. Texas, of all places. Now, you said, too, there was there was a response here at the district level, I believe, that was somewhat favorable.
Yes. Justice Doyle said that he ruled with the other judges, with the court, saying denying our appeal. However, he stated that
he thinks that the petition should be viewed by the Iowa Supreme Court.
yes, that's a question for the state Supreme Court,
Okay, yeah. So,
which is a great
that's
door for us to go through.
I mean, he's saying that. We'll see what the Supreme Court says,
Right,
but it's
exactly.
It's hopeful. How about other parts of the world? Since it is an international movement.
It's an international movement in the sense that youth all over the world are trying to get their governments to take action or notice them and listen to them because they're the future of the planet.
Okay.
But I don't know exactly how much litigation it is in other countries of the world. You can go to the website, imatteryouth.org.
Okay.
There's a lot of marches in other places in the world.
So have you got any pushback from folks alleging that this is part of a UN agenda to establish world government, or this is a communist plot, or that you're just being used, you're just a pawn, a toy being used
I've heard that one a lot,
by your mom, by people like me, by Senator Rob Hogue. I mean, are there folks just accusing you of being duped into being a part of something that's silly and frivolous?
Yeah, I've heard that one a lot, and I've had people literally refuse to sign a petition that I have because I am 14. They say I will not sign this because you're not an adult.
You don't have any credibility. You're only 14.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as you said in your video, it's, I mean, the future, I mean, I like to think I still have a bit of a future left. But, you've got a lot more future left than I do, and if everything goes well,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you've got a lot of stake. You ought to have an opinion. You ought to have an opinion that's taken seriously.
And if we really want to make change, we have to start now. We can't just keep putting it off.
So let me share a few of the other comments. Bob writes, it won't do much good if Asian countries don't change their pollution laws. So good luck.
Can I respond to
Sure.
that? That's a really important point because we are not the only country in the world that emits carbon dioxide, greenhouse gases.
Right.
However, we are one of the most powerful countries in the world, and we are a world leader, and we can take a huge step in being a leader, and that first step.
Yeah, I mean, the geopolitical scene is changing dramatically, certainly in my lifetime. I mean, it wasn't that many years ago, 25 or so, that we talked about the two superpowers in the world. And then for a while, it was just us. And that's changing. Now we're seeing growing clout in China, India, the European Union, maybe, once they get their fiscal house in order. So it's not like we are the big, country, the superpower that can wave our magic wand and make things happen. But we still are by far the biggest emitter of I should say, actually China emits more carbon, but we are the biggest users. We have the biggest carbon footprint. We are, as I said last week, the Sasquatch among nations. We have the biggest footprint when it comes to carbon. And so, Bob, I'd love to see China do more. And the truth is, China is doing more, even though they're making, I think, horrible decisions on coal-fired plants. They're also doing great things with high-speed rail, with wind, with solar. They're doing some good stuff. We can't just sit back and say, well, let somebody else take care of the problem.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's immature, and I'm glad to see a 14-year-old with more maturity than some of my friends on Facebook. Anyway, let's go to another comment here. Joe writes, is this outlined in the general welfare clause? I don't even know what that means. Okay? If a comment is nonsensical, we're going to move on from it. Murphy writes, he considers that you are a victim of indoctrination. Anyway, congratulations. Yeah. I mean, that's just a way of saying, oh, she's 14, she has no mind of her own, she's just being used. I mean, I get really tired of that. I mean, when I was 14, I had some pretty strong opinions. I did some pretty dramatic and mostly good things when I was 14.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I even invented my own religion. Was that didn't even, I mean, why not? What you're doing is probably more valuable than a 14-year-old like me inventing his own religion. So, you know, I mean, I get tired of people who, again, dismiss you because you're not the right age. You know, in the past, you were dismissed if you weren't the right gender, the right race, you know.
I think a response to that, she can tell about what spurred her to be a vegetarian, to become a vegetarian.
Because Dave Petty with the DNR was actually reading you the riot act about that in particular.
Yes. Dave Petty was very upset that I was vegetarian.
Was he accusing Mother of endangering your health?
Not really. He was just more saying that it will decrease my longevity and how long I live. And that he hopes that I get the opportunity to not be a vegetarian someday.
And the only good thing about it was that there's more meat for the rest of them.
Oh, he said that?
Yeah.
Well, it always comes down to self-interest, I guess, isn't it? That's kind of I hope you have that on tape.
I do. I'm going to have to email it to you. I'm sorry.
I will gladly put that up on my website.
But no, I think you should tell the story about when you were 5.
Well, when I was 5, my parents were reading me a Little House on the Prairie book. And they were talking about how they would slaughter the calves and use all of their rennet and their rennet to make cheese and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I was just kind of like, I'm done. And then in 2nd and 3rd grade,
so you stopped eating meat when you were 5?
Right. Yes.
We still ate like fish or chicken at that time. So.
We were more pescatarian. But then when I was like in 3rd or 4th grade, I read the book Chew on This by Eric Schlosser.
Sure, the same guy who did was it Fast Food Nation?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he pointed out a lot of very good reasons to not eat meat by saying that we're not always sure where it comes from, and also it's actually very, very bad for the environment to consume meat. So.
Okay, now, and I might disagree with you on this because I have vegan friends who will skewer me in a nonviolent vegetarian kind of way for saying this, but I think there is a big difference between confinement animals
and local
and how you raise pastured pork, pastured poultry. You know, grass-fed beef, wild critters running around the forest. I mean, gosh, you know, we take out 13,000 deer every year with our cars. You know, maybe we could save a few bucks on insurance premiums with a little bit more. I mean, maybe it's our duty as Iowans to go out and hunt a deer in order to have less of them on the roads. I mean, I'm being a little facetious here, but I think there's a distinction in how.
There is a big difference.
Okay, so but how do you argue on that?
When she became a vegetarian at a young age because she loved animals, and she remained a vegetarian because she saw the carbon footprint attached to eating meat. And that's, of course, not eating meat in a sustainable, organic
Which is
type
most of it.
way.
Fair
Right.
enough. That's the vast majority of it.
So,
Yeah. But, well, I mean...
And she has no problem with people who eat meat.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Okay, good. So you're not going to skewer me.
No.
Some of my other friends will have to skewer me. Okay. All right. Well, yeah.
Just want everybody to know where their food comes from.
Yeah. Well, and again, the farmers market has done a great job at connecting the consumer with the producer. Yeah. Well, anyway, I think personally, I think vegetarian diet is fantastic.
Thank you.
I think a vegan diet is fantastic, and I also think a diet that focuses on a modest amount of, maybe even a minimal amount of meat and eggs and whatnot makes a lot of sense, providing they come from the right source. But that's an aside. But it is a huge part of the issue. I mean, we have so many things we have to change to begin to address the climate issue. It's not just about what we drive; it's about how we live, what we eat.
Well, we need big, bold action. We need more action than just what the people can do. We need our government to lead the way.
Yeah.
We need to make it just as easy and inexpensive to have solar panels or more wind supply our energy than coal or gas.
Yeah.
It actually saves us a lot of money in the long run.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's just something that people can't just do on their own. We need government to lead the way.
Now, I don't know whether you saw the column in Politico last week, but
Which column?
It was a column about Jeb Bush, claiming that he is
because
possibly,
of gas, right?
Well, partly. I mean, they point to some of the good things he's done on water quality and protecting the Everglades when he was governor in Florida, and also his call for increased action on conservation. And again, yeah, conservation of energy is the best thing we can do on energy. Use less. Of course, Mid-American doesn't want to hear that because they want us to use more. We use more. They make more money. Yeah. So, but, you know, Bush, yeah, he's pushing for, you know, natural gas as the savior to reduce our carbon footprint. And I think it's totally wrong. I mean, if that's the best the Republicans have to offer, you know, I don't see, again, I'd like to see more action among Democrats. I mean, we have some great advocates for taking this issue seriously. And again, and none better than our own Rob Hogue here in Iowa.
Oh, he was wonderful to work with. He helped us plan that rally.
Did he really?
And he's spoken, yes.
Good, yeah. Well, it was an excellent rally. So, you know, we could use a lot more seriousness on the Democratic side among Democratic leaders who begin to take this issue with the gravity, who weigh it with the gravity that it deserves. But in the Republican camp, you know, I mean, Bob Inglis, I don't know whether you know who that is, a former congressman from South Carolina who had the audacity to speak out on climate change in a truthful, you know, accurate way, calling, you know, I mean, describing what needed to happen. And I mean, this is a guy who was elected overwhelmingly in his district, and then he was defeated in a Republican primary overwhelmingly. 71% voted against him. So that's the problem on the Republican side. You got candidates or lawmakers, you know, either candidates or lawmakers who will speak out and then get, here's the word again, skewered by the Republican base in the primary, and they won't get any further than that. So, you know, even if Jeb Bush is good on climate change, and I doubt, I kind of agree with you, Maria. You can't be good on climate change and be promoting natural gas and be promoting the Keystone Pipeline. I mean, that's, you know, okay, so maybe coal is the worst of the three fossil fuels. Oil's not far behind. And again, when you consider the methane emissions from gas, it's bad as well. So, I mean, I'm not getting all excited. I'm kind of surprised that anybody writing for Politico has that perspective, but I'm not getting all excited about Jeb Bush. But you know, again, with the Republican Party so way out there, I don't know whether we will see any candidates dare to come forward on that side. What this may be more than you spend time thinking about. I mean, I've been immersed in partisan politics for way too long. But
well, here's a great article by Price Atkinson. He reasons why conservatives, Republicans, should embrace climate change and doing something about it. It's a very good short article. It was published in the Charlotte Observer earlier this month, I believe.
Mm-hmm. He says Republicans have a choice to make: either put forth a solution that creates jobs and doesn't grow government, or accept the status quo trajectory of economy-wide command and control regulation of greenhouse gases. Yeah, and the latter choice would make the GOP complicit in one of the largest expansions of federal regulatory power in recent history. In person, I don't mind that. I don't mind saying, okay, this is a pollutant. You're not allowed to spew it into the atmosphere. I don't mind that. And I think that's where your lawsuit is going as well.
Yes.
But, you know, if Republicans want to be taken at all seriously on this, they will at least offer some kind of, you know, market-based approach to the problem. And that's not happening either.
Well, and also we should be proactive on climate change. I mean, the cost to clean up superstorms and flooding and droughts, I mean, it's billions and billions of dollars a year. If we were to just try to address it at its roots, it wouldn't be so difficult.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
so expensive.
Yeah, there's it's and again, while I would say that Democrats tend to have more leaders in the Democratic fold than we do in the Republican fold, and when one steps forward on the Republican side, they get eaten by the radical right. Which again, you know, I had an interesting conversation at the community garden with a self-described right-wing Christian who, you know, we're going to disagree on social issues, but he gets the climate change thing entirely. He gets that. And there are a lot of, especially young, born-again Christians who get that, who understand the importance of it. So maybe there's a way to elevate their influence within the GOP to begin to make it, acceptable for candidates and politicians, Republican politicians, to speak on this issue in a way that's truthful and can help move us forward. I mean, we're seeing that on immigration. We're seeing it on gay marriage. There are Republicans now who are beginning to lead on those issues and leading in the right direction. And again, immigration has been a tough one because, it is a very, very complex problem. But when all you're trying to do is dig your heels in and sustain the status quo, which is not working in anybody's assessment, we got a problem there. We now finally have some Republicans that seem to be moving in the right direction or trying to. Again, of course, we have people like Charles Grassley who want to stop anything and everything that resembles progress. Unless you need to go back to school, you're welcome to stay around for the final segment. I'd love to get your take on the March for Climate Action as one possible element of the solution to the problem.
Okay.
All right?
Sure.
Great. I just love it when I'm responsible for people playing hooky. Folks, I want to thank Community CPA and Associates for sponsoring this segment of our show. We're going to switch gears and talk about a project that some of the leadership at Community CPA has been involved with, the Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit. But just a final reminder, May 1st is the deadline to file your state taxes. So if you have not done that, and if you still need some help, and if you're like me, you need help. The only thing beyond technology that I'm worse at is filing taxes. So I'm happy to go to Yingsa, let her do the work for me, and she does a fantastic job. They're now the 10th largest accounting firm in the state. They've grown, they've done well. You should give them a shout, folks. 288-3188. That's 288-3188. We'll be back in just a minute.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
The 8th Annual Natural Living Expo is May 18th and 19th at the 4-H building at the Iowa State Fairgrounds. The Natural Living Expo is the place to learn about sustainable practices and healthy lifestyle choices. The expo offers classes and vendors where you'll learn about green building design, sustainable agriculture, urban farming, non-toxic cleaning products, massage, and more. There's no cost to attend, and what you'll come away with is priceless. For more information, visit www.naturallivingexpo.org. That's www.naturallivingexpo.org.
Community CPA is the 15th largest CPA firm in Iowa, providing audit, tax, and accounting services. Community CPA specializes in international tax treaty and double taxation avoidance among countries and states. 9 dedicated, experienced, hardworking staff are the company's foundation, and their compassion towards every client is the secret behind Community CPA's success. At Community CPA, you can expect quality service year-round. Call 288-3188. Community CPA, 3816 Ingersoll. Experience the difference.
Located in the heart of Beaverdale, Tally's offers speedy and affordable rooftop lunch, catering for events both large and small, innovative cuisine, as well as vegetarian and gluten-free menus. Come to Tally's for live music, dry-aged steaks, Sunday brunch, and all-you-can-eat ribs every Monday night. Tally's Restaurant, Bar, and Catering at 2712 Beaver Avenue. Call 279-2067. That's 279-2067.
Times are tough, and most people are just trying to make their cars last a little bit longer. That's why you should know about Sargent's Garage in Des Moines. You can trust Sargent's to make the right diagnosis and give you a fair price. Whether it's a routine oil change or a major repair, Sargent's always does outstanding work. So don't give up on that old car just yet. Call Sargent's Garage at 246-8149. That's 246-8149 for Sargent's Garage.
Nestled in the heart of downtown, Ritual Cafe is one of Des Moines' most unique places, offering a wide variety of coffee and tea. Ritual Cafe also serves the only all-vegetarian menu in town. And Ritual Cafe is a cultural hub for artists and musicians, with a performance stage hosting local, national, and international talent. Make Ritual Cafe a part of your daily ritual. On 13th Street between Locust and Grand in downtown Des Moines, and check out ritualcafe.com.
Wow, some wedding.
Yeah, I've never seen a bride in coveralls.
Right, and skipping down the aisle to accordion music.
Not to mention the reception. That wedding cake was a freaking fruit cake.
It's your wedding. Don't leave anything to chance. Diana's Wedding Cakes. Using only the finest, freshest ingredients with free on-time delivery and setup. Choose one of Diana's custom designs or create your own. Call Diana's Wedding Cakes, 641-275-9279. That's 641-275-9279.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Welcome back, folks. That's Max Wellman. We can continue to get... y'all afraid to talk to me, aren't you? You'd rather just write. Okay, be that way. Yeah. Well, I got a brave 14-year-old in the studio. She's not afraid to talk. We're going to go back to that conversation with her in a minute, but I want to share some of the other responses we're getting. This is from a self-described thinking bicycle rider who did 70 miles on Saturday and 40 on Sunday. So he had plenty of time to think about this thing. The question of Republicans on climate change. He says, yes, some Republicans appear to be shifting their positions to a more forward-looking viewpoint. At the same time, many Republicans, including those like Representative Inglis, who I mentioned earlier, are getting beaten in the primary. They're shifting the other way. Some of them are shifting because of that, shifting the other way toward an even more conservative set of positions. At some level, this will end up pitting the corporatocracy versus democracy, and that would be most of us. This is a small d. The Republican Party doesn't have an extremely long time to come back around. By around 2043, white people, the largest citizen faction behind the conservative stance of the Republican Party, will be in the minority in the U.S. To me, the debate is what and who will be harmed in the meantime, until the day that the majority, non-white citizens, make the Republican Party the fringe minority, and what and whom will fill that void. From that perspective, continued conservative shifts in the Republican Party will make it more and more difficult to turn the ship, plus more and more opportunistic for a group more aligned with the non-white citizens of the USA to emerge as new leaders. So, in that case, presumably the Democratic Party. But I think, politics happens really fast when two things. Things can move very, very slow in politics, or when politicians sense a crisis, and by crisis I mean, oh, I might lose re-election, or oh, my party might no longer be the majority party. When politicians see that crisis, they can begin to move pretty fast. And that's what we're seeing in the Republican Party on gay marriage, on immigration, maybe on education even. And I think we're going to see it on climate change. And we better see it a lot sooner than 2043, because by then it will be too late. Okay, so got a few more comments regarding my post about having a 14-year-old in the studio who is suing the government for not protecting the atmosphere, the air. Let's see. Maria, no relation to Glory's mom. Maria writes, yay, we need more of those kids. Jeff writes, China is pulling ahead of us. The old line that we need to wait until China changes its policy is so out of date. And I think he means they're pulling ahead of us in terms of their action on climate change. Justin writes, he does not think this is cool at all. He thinks that what you're doing is wrong. Anyway, okay, like I said, I have an interesting selection of friends. Dan writes, it's cute. I'm sure you'd like to be thought of as more than just cute. And Dan actually, then he goes on to write, hope it gets attention though. Somebody got to do something. And then let's see if my cursor will stop acting up. Jeff writes, awesome sauce. I don't know what that means exactly, but I think it's good. Anyway, you've been to Washington, D.C. on behalf of your beliefs and your work as well, Marie. Both of you. But Glory, what did you learn on that trip?
I learned that a lot of the politicians like to say, we support you, but there's nothing we can do, so keep trying.
Yeah.
That's the response we got from almost everyone.
Well, and what do they mean there's nothing we can do? I mean, did they give you any detail on that?
They'd say, thank you for your time, and we think your message is great, but they wouldn't take action themselves.
And did you have, and you met with our congressional delegation?
Last year when we went, we met with Leonard Boswell's staff. We tried to meet with the rest of the Iowa people, but we couldn't. So no, but John Conyers from Michigan was very good. He signed our petition and everything and signed on because we were asking the president to do something. We're asking the president to hold him. We're trying to hold him to his word to do something to stop climate change.
Okay, and so you met Leonard Boswell was the only one you got to meet with besides from Iowa, that is?
His staff.
His staff.
Not him, yes. But actually,
and his staff told you that nice meeting you. You're cute, but we can't do anything.
Basically. She actually is trying to meet with Congressman Latham too.
Okay.
Later this, or actually next month. So
good, yeah. I mean, it's important to do that. I mean, it is. Even though politicians tend to listen a lot to money, and maybe less to their constituencies. If there is the struggle really for them is between the money to fund their campaigns and the votes they need to win. And if you can start showing that the votes are really, really making a difference, if they're going to be losing votes because they're not taking this seriously, I mean, I saw that when I ran against Leonard Boswell. That really is what happened. He used to call himself a blue dog Democrat and had that on his website. When I ran against him, he took it off. And he started talking much more like a progressive. And unfortunately, we didn't see a lot of momentum after that. But during that period of time, he was more progressive. So I think you've got to keep the pressure on. Now, in terms of strategy, one thing I'm working on right now is a march. It would be the largest march ever in the U.S., crossing the U.S., demanding action on climate change. And what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's fabulous. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
And we'll march.
Will you?
Yeah.
Well, great. I mean, and this is not a staged conversation, folks. We have not had this conversation before. I just threw these brochures at them like I throw them at everybody. I'm still trying to throw one at my producer, Maddie. Maybe she wants to march. But the goal is to have a big presence of people indicating a big crisis. And we already have one kid who's mom and daughter who are interested in marching. Maybe this would be the second pair. I don't know.
Definitely.
Yeah. When the Peace March happened back in 1986, there were a bunch of kids involved. And the kids got to travel. Every day they'd get out of their tents with their families and they'd get on the bus and they'd go to school. And school was usually, they studied the usual things on the bus or somewhere they'd sit and they'd work on their usual studies. But every day was a field trip. It had to be the best schooling ever, where every day you get on the bus, you end up somewhere else at a field trip, learning something about the history and the culture and the environment that you're passing through. So I imagine we're going to have a bus full of kids again this time as well. But,
that's cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think what you're doing with the lawsuit, again, it's a big action. It's, and again, people are going to dismiss it. I mean, lawsuits don't get, trivialized very often. But when it's being filed by a bunch of kids, of course, we can't take kids very seriously. So
I have to tell you, though, for the federal lawsuit last year, that's what our hearing was about. The National Association of Manufacturers and the Truckers Association, they all joined because we were suing the federal government. They joined the federal government in asking for our lawsuit to be thrown out. So it was sort of like David and Goliath.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and with you being the David, yeah. Well, I mean, there's so much that needs to be done.
People should just go to imatteryouth.org and they can download the PDF files of all the lawsuits and just see everything that we're doing. So
okay, yeah. So and again, I presume you're getting some pro bono legal assistance on this.
Yes, Channing Dutton is
wonderful. Channing is wonderful.
Is our local one. And also we have our Children's Trust, the head lawyer, Julia Olson, out of Portland, Oregon. iMatter was founded by Alec Lours, who is an 18-year-old youth from Santa Barbara, California. He's actually in college now. And his mother, Victoria, founded it with him.
Yeah.
And they've been working so hard. He dedicated his whole teenagehood to this.
Yeah.
So...
yeah, and with the pace that lawsuits sometimes move, especially if it's a class action lawsuit, you're likely to be in college by the time this bears any fruit. But that's okay. I have no doubt that you're going to stick with it. I have no doubt you're going to continue to hammer away at it.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, any last words from my audience?
I don't have anything really.
Yes, you
Just,
say something.
Yeah.
The more people that I think know about climate change and know about what I Matter is doing and they know our message, I think the more people will care and the more people will show up for this march. And so I think we just need to work on getting the word out. And they should take us seriously because everyone can make a difference. Adults always complain about how teenagers or kids my age never really accomplish anything or how we're lazy. And then I'm trying to accomplish something and not be lazy and I'm getting criticized for it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, isn't that ironic? You know, you start doing something and they complain the kids are lazy, right? Sit around watching video games. You know, and here you are doing
need
something.
their voices to be heard, and they need to know that their voices are worthy and their future. Everybody, it's for everybody in the world.
Yeah, there have been children even younger than you who have stepped forward to raise an opinion about a peace issue, a justice issue, an environmental issue, and they've had an impact. They've had a big impact. So don't let the detractors phase you. I'm sure you don't. That's good. And they will be out there and they'll continue to detract. All right. Anyway, folks, Marie Filippone and Gloria de Filippone, my guests today on the Fallon Forum, doing great work. And again, appreciate all your efforts on behalf of what really is not just an issue, it is a crisis. Okay, one more thought on the energy issue before we on the energy angle of the climate issue before we sign off today, folks. Interesting editorial in the paper this weekend by John Callan. He's the senior vice president of Energy Independence Partners LLC. Now that sounds like a great name. And as you read this, Iowa's friendly business climate, skilled workforce, just describing how important those things are. He talks about the creation of new energy jobs outside of the wind and renewable energy industries that have been created in Iowa. Okay, so that's good. I'm all for moving beyond just wind into solar, into geothermal, into biofuels. But as you read through this, it's very cleverly crafted. The headline is "New Sources of Energy Important for Iowa Economy." He says, while biofuels and wind remain the dominant energy producers in Iowa in terms of renewables, the opportunity for other energy industries to create jobs in Iowa is very promising. This sounds all good until you start reading into it more and more. You got to get really into it. Then in the middle of the article, he says, for example, the number of companies started in Iowa as a result of North Dakota's oil boom has grown exponentially in recent years. Companies in North Dakota are looking across the country for places to set up satellite service companies because North Dakota's skilled workforce is tapped out. I love that little pun right there. Maybe that wasn't intentional. He goes on to talk about advancing pro-American energy policies and opposing policies that stifle the development of energy sources. All this sounds good until you realize what he's talking about is drilling for oil in Iowa. It's just... I like it when people are really straightforward with how they feel. Again, I criticized Debbie Durham for this the other day. We're trying to, do a little shell game with the numbers and pretend that we maybe thought that there were going to be 250 jobs created in the construction of this new Facebook plant. No, she was talking about thousands of jobs being created elsewhere, but in Iowa, only 250. So again, this is interesting. It's almost like folks are almost embarrassed by being pro-oil anymore, and they've got to be really, really quiet about it and sneaky about it, okay? So that's what this is about. And again, the argument is, well, we gotta rely less on foreign oil, except if it's Canadian foreign oil, and more on oil we can drill for right here in America, including in Iowa. I hope this guy gets a response. Maybe I'll have to respond myself. But anyway, I like a more straightforward approach, saying, "Hey, let's drill, baby, drill." Drill, baby, drill. You just say that. I like it when you tell me exactly how you feel. But this is just drill, baby, drill, cleverly disguised as a promotion for renewable energy. So, anyway, I've enjoyed our conversation today. Hope you have, folks. I really, again, very grateful to have Maria and Glory Day on the program today. We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to talk about the natural gas issue, specifically how it affects Northeast Iowa. We have somebody from Winneshiek County and somebody from Allamakee County coming on the program to talk about how folks in those two counties are working to stop frac sand mining. Adam Mason with Iowa CCI is going to join us to talk about the Board of Regents and the citizen pressure that's been brought on the board to create more transparency. So that'll be good to see. Good to have an update on that, and also to get some information about the upcoming public hearings on that subject. I do want to thank Ritual Cafe for sponsoring this segment of our show. Ritual Cafe is a great place to get into your ritual, so to speak. They are at 13th and Locust. And not just a coffee shop, but a fantastic place for lunch, for paninis. I think half the good decisions in Des Moines are made at Ritual Cafe over a cup of coffee, or, in my preference, a cup of Irish blend tea. It's great tea, folks. If you like strong tea, you will like their Irish blend tea. Folks, that's Ritual Cafe at 13th and Locust. Check them out and thank them for supporting the Fallon Forum. I want to thank Maddie Arrington, my producer. I also want to thank Webcast One Live for providing the studio. I will be back tomorrow.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershot.
I am administrative manager.
I'm